In a world built on power, money, and illusion, one voice dared to break the family's silence. Mary Trump, the niece of the former president, steps out of the shadows to expose the man behind the myth. This isn't gossip. It's an inside story from someone who watched the empire rise and saw the cracks form from within for decades.
So, Donald finally emerged from whatever cave he was hiding in over the last few days, and he's exactly the same. I know. Shocking. He came out to make some big announcements that turned out to be meaningless, really. But in the midst of it all, he managed to threaten yet another blue state, Colorado this time. We'll get to that in a minute.
Donald Trump built his brand on perfection. But today, his own bloodline tears that image apart, piece by piece. Donald Trump finally emerges from hiding, stepping back into the spotlight as if nothing has changed. But the world has, and so have the critics. His grand announcements quickly crumble into hollow noise, yet in the chaos, one voice cuts deeper than any other. Mary Trump, the niece who knows him best and fears him least.
Hey, obviously the big story of the week, although there are many other big stories we shouldn't ignore, but is this Epstein stuff, right? Yeah. It appears your Uncle Donald, is kind of having a baby over this. He is starting to criticize his supporters. He's angry that many parts of MAGA seem quite fixated on this. I would just love to hear your reaction to the whole damn thing.
Yeah, well, the whole damn thing is fascinating, quite frankly, for many reasons. But let's start with what, I don't know if it's the most obvious one, but it's the most obvious one to me. Donald is somebody who has lived his entire life with complete impunity. Like, he's been able to get away with everything. And he thinks it's because he's a genius, right? He thinks it's because he's so all-powerful.
Mary Trump isn't just another political pundit. She's family. She's seen behind the golden curtains of the Trump empire. Where others see power, she's seen dysfunction. Her words don't come from rumor, they come from lived experience. And when she speaks, it's not a roast. It's a full-blown demolition of her uncle's carefully built mythology.
That he can manipulate people to do whatever he wants them to do. But the truth of the matter is, it's because he's been enabled his whole life by people like my grandfather and others. And now, most recently, of course, it's been the Republican Party and, of course, his followers. What he doesn't understand is that he can't turn off the switch. Now, I understand why he would think that, because, again, he has gotten away with everything, pretty much.
As fresh controversies swirl, especially the Epstein files, Trump's usual calm collapses into chaos. He lashes out even at his supporters, furious that his name is once again tied to scandal. Mary watches it all unfold, calling it what it is: a man terrified of losing control after a lifetime of impunity.
This is, or at least should be, a major setback for Donald's ongoing plan to take over any cities that don't abide by his rules or agree with him or support him. But here's the problem, and this is something we've come up against time and time again. Courts take time to render their judgments.
The untouchable myth. Trump has spent his entire life believing rules don't apply to him. To Mary, it's simple. He isn't powerful because he's smart. He's powerful because people let him get away with everything. From family enablers to political allies, Trump has been protected from consequences since day one.
So, it seems that this is the pattern. A blue state is already on the enemy's list because blue states don't support Donald Trump. They don't vote for him. We hate his policies and we hate him. But sometimes it's a new thing that draws his ire, or I should probably say, becomes a handy excuse for his increasingly fascistic and hostile behavior towards blue cities and blue states.
The image machine. Mary dissects her uncle's obsession with image. Donald was never taught to value success through effort, only through appearance. Trump became a brand before it became a person. From Trump Tower to Trump Steaks, every venture was built on illusion. For Mary, her uncle isn't a leader, he's a walking logo.
And all of a sudden, there's nothing to see or hear move along. It isn't going to fly, and it is kind of fascinating that is this issue But I think he does not know how to process it at all, because unbelievably, for those of us who believe in accountability and who believe he's done horrible things for decades now, he cannot process the fact that he doesn't control this.
The fragile ego. Behind the bluster lies deep fragility. Trump's insults, tantrums, and late-night rants aren't strength, they're fear. Mary describes a man terrified of being laughed at, confusing cruelty with confidence. His attacks aren't weapons, they're shields protecting an ego made of glass. The enemy list. Blue states like Colorado and New York become Trump's favorite punching bags. Not because of policy, but because they reject him. Mary calls it fascistic theater, a dictator's need to create enemies where none exist.
Colorado got singled out because it has mail-in voting. Illinois has been singled out because Governor J.B. Pritzker has been very vocal about Donald and his fascism. New York has been singled out, well, because it's New York, and we've known for decades exactly who this pathetic moron is.
The winning illusion. Trump loves to call himself a winner, but Mary shows how every success is exaggerated and every failure buried. From bankrupt casinos to failed universities, she paints him as a man who cheats at Monopoly and flips the board when he loses, then demands to be crowned champion anyway.
And do you think that his lashing out at his supporters is just a sign of his inability to comprehend this pushback? And that's why he's kind of lashing out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's that. I think it's also, it's insecurity, right? It's his understanding on some level.
One of the things he's most afraid of is being found out, to be, to have people understand that everything about him that's projected publicly is based on a myth, that he's literally nothing of who he claims to be. He's nothing other people have purported him to be, starting with my grandfather, who's the man responsible for having created this myth.
The fall of the myth. By the end, Mary Trump doesn't just roast Donald, she reveals him. The empire of ego, money, and myth crumbles under her words. The man who spent his life chasing applause is exposed as a frightened boy still begging for his father's approval. The emperor isn't just unclothed, he's unmasked. In the end, Mary Trump didn't just speak out, she rewrote the story of America's most controversial figure. Her words stripped away the gold, the power, and the performance, leaving only the man beneath the myth. Whether you love him or hate him, one thing is clear: Donald Trump's greatest opponent wasn't a politician, it was his own family. If you found this story eye-opening, don't forget to subscribe for more untold truths, powerful breakdowns, and fearless commentary. Because the real story is just getting started.